So in this video I'm going to be talking to you about the reason why I haven't fired up my pancake compressor since August. And the reason for that is I did a tool review on this Linknal brad nailer. Comes with the nailer, 2 batteries, which is super convenient, charger obviously, some brads, but I already had those in the shop, and it has completely replaced my need for the pancake compressor in the shop. This video is not only going to be a review of this tool, but also hopefully some helpful information for people that are thinking about what unit they want to buy. So I received this tool back in the beginning of August. By the time I upload this, I'll have been testing it for almost 3 months. I point that out because obviously that is to say it has been working seamlessly for 3 months in the shop with all of the projects that I'm showcasing that I'm using it for, but also because I think it's important to note that a lot of companies reach out to me about tool reviews. I don't agree to most of them, and one of the main reasons is the timeline that they want. The turnaround time some companies want is 1 to 2 weeks. I just don't think that's enough time to honestly give a review of a tool and to recommend it. 1 week of testing something out, I think most tools I've had can work for a week, but 3 months gives me a lot more peace of mind that if people go and purchase something like this, I'm not giving them a bum steer. So that I do like to point that out, that they agree to my longer timeline. So this is just a compilation of projects I've used the brad nailer on. It's specifically a brad nailer, not a finishing nailer, not a framing nailer. It's not comprehensive. I use this on a couple off-site jobs that I did not film, but so far it has worked seamlessly. I've had no issues with the nailer, no jam-ups, no issues with the batteries, and I feel like on cheaper tools, those are going to be the things that pop up first. Now, if you're one of those people that's in between deciding whether or not to get a compressor unit or a battery powered unit, when I first started woodworking, the battery powered units were not nearly as popular as they are now, so I'll show you the kit that I started with. Nowadays these are much more affordable. This nailer comes in, and I think it's on Amazon. There'll obviously be a link in the description. It's about $180. Comes with everything you saw in the beginning of the video. Another thing to consider is most of the work I do is going to be in the shop. I build furniture. I'm not like a contractor. I'm not framing out homes. I'm not building homes. I don't do huge remodels. Probably the biggest pieces of furniture I make are going to be built-ins, and honestly I have one coming up and I'm already ecstatic about the thought of not having to transport the compressor, the hose, and the guns to the job site, because now I can get away with just bringing this battery powered unit. On the flip side to that, if you are a contractor or you are someone that is going to be using this, these will weigh more than the compressor units. I held both of mine because I have a compressor unit in my hand. The battery powered unit is obviously heavier. It's not substantially heavier, but that's easy to say if you're not someone who's on a roof all day per se using something like this. Now obviously the framing nailer units are going to be heavier than these brad units, and the battery's in a convenient location that it doesn't get in the way, but it also kind of throws off the weight of these if you're used to using the units that are used with the compressor. So that is something to consider if you are going to be using these all day. Now the footage I'm showing right now are these displays I make where I'm using this all day. I had no issue with it, and honestly the weight of it did not bother me, but I think that's going to be a case-by-case basis based on the person. So I think that's the first step in buying any tool, figuring out what you're going to be using it for, and then deciding if you need 3 guns or if you can get away with 1 gun. In my shop, over the course of the past 5 years or so, I would say 95% of the work that I've used the nailers for has been just the brad nailer, nothing else. So not only are weight and transportability going to be things to consider, sound is also something to consider. A lot of times when I'm bringing this to a job site, like I said, I'm doing a built-in. The customer is usually at home because they either work from home or obviously don't feel comfortable with a stranger in their home without them there during the day. And now I don't have to worry about the sound of the compressor, waking up kids, disturbing meetings, so on and so forth. That also applies to the shop. if you do not get along with your neighbors, the compressor is really loud. If you're using these all afternoon like I sometimes do, it's going to cycle continuously, and that can get quite noisy. Obviously the battery powered unit is going to make noise, but it's not going to make nearly as much noise as a compressor. In general, this performed exactly the same as the unit I have for my pancake compressor. I didn't notice any differences in power or capabilities. The batteries last quite a long time. I think I've only changed it once or twice since I got it back in August. So up until I got that nailer, like I said, I've been using this pancake compressor. This is easily 5 years old. Probably a little bit longer than that, and it came in a kit. That kit now runs for roughly, I think, like $330 on Amazon. It came with the finishing nailer, which I do not use, and honestly this one jams a lot. I could probably fix it, but I don't use it enough to warrant dealing with it. The stapler, which I don't think I've ever used, and it came with a brad nailer, which I broke a little over a year ago. I replaced it with this very inexpensive one unit, which does work, but honestly, now that I have that, I'm not lying. I have not started up any of these tools since August, because 95% of what I do, I could get done with a brad nailer. On top of the kit that came with the Porter cable compressor, I have added a pin nailer, which I do use. It comes in handy when I need it, but I don't use it a lot. And then before I started filming on YouTube, I actually built a couple tree houses, and I got this because it made that work much quicker. But another thing, unless you're a framer, do a lot of on-job site work, you don't really need something like that. And that kit also came with an air hose, which I got a hole in many years ago and replaced it with this orange hose. So that is basically what I had before getting the battery powered unit. This unit is not going to replace all of these. So that is part of the issue. If you're thinking of what you might need for your work in your shop, this is not an all-in-one combination tool. It will obviously replace the brad nailer. Like I said, I don't use the stapler. And what I would use the finishing nailer for use, I usually just use brads, so there is that. So in conclusion, I'm going to say I hope this video helps some people that might have been waffling back and forth about what unit to buy. Like I said, probably haven't used in a couple years, haven't used in a year, replaced a broken one I used all the time, pretty much never use. So that's what I have for my purposes, but other people it's going to be very different. This unit is more affordable than buying a kit. However, if you think you're going to want more than one of these, or a framing nailer and a pin nailer, it's probably more cost effective to buy an air compressor and buy these units. This one that I have no issues with, I think was $30, whereas this unit is going to be almost $180. But also, like I said in the video, really try and decide what you're going to use it for. I imagine most DIYers and weekend warriors can easily get by with just this battery powered unit, and then it will be cheaper than a whole compressor unit. Also, really consider the things I mentioned in the video, like sound, the cost of the unit, the weight of the unit, and the portability of the unit. For someone like myself, it's going to be so nice not having to drag a compressor around, but if you're a contractor who already carries it around on your truck, it's not as big of a deal. Especially if you're going to be using multiple tools a day for a different job, it makes more sense to have that compressor. And then, like all my tool reviews, I like to keep them updated. You will see me using this throughout the course of all of my YouTube videos because I genuinely do really like it. If something happens with it, I always try and come back and update my tool reviews. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to email me or message me on YouTube. Obviously, it is really nice getting a free tool, but my goal at the end of the day, always with YouTube, are to make educational videos to help people out with their own projects.